All right, guys. You guys want to blow up your back? Saw I blow my back up. You want a mass building back workout? Try this. You want bulging lats? You want Tyrannosaurus traps? You guys want lats like Dorian Yates with half the work and half fucking genetics? You want to figure out how to not work hard, get big? You want, this is the Shortcut channel. This is gonna get kind of philosophical on people here. A little departure from hating everything, but I was just talking with my
therapist.
My therapist, aka my girlfriend, the other week, and it was like I was kind of making this observation that I felt that a lot of bodybuilders, and not so much bodybuilders, any athlete who like might have been in the prime of they might have like ascended to a certain height within their sport. Let's just take bodybuilders for example. They became pro. They did shows, they did well, they amassed a following, and like people came to know them because of their ability, which was their body. In other sports, it's like your sports athletic ability, like how many points you score. But they became known in bodybuilding for the physique they had. And so like you would think that like if you look at your life like a bell curve, let's say, because my girlfriend was kind of talking about this, how like people's bell curves, like if things go up and they kind of crescendo, and then around 50 or something like that, they were saying that you start trending downward. And this is how this discussion came up. I said, I honestly feel like I haven't even hit the top, like I haven't even hit the peak of my curve, because there's other times in my life when I would have thought I was at the peak of my curve, like when this event happened or this event happened or I did this or this and this. But I look back now with perspective that I have of what I'm doing now and the life I'm living, and I'm like, man, what I'm doing right now is way more exciting to me than any of that shit was. Even if I like think back to what I was doing before, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember being this happy as happy as I was right now back then. Because there's other things that are in alignment now, like as you get older and as you get doing what you're supposed to be doing, or maybe get more successful, all these things align, like finances and like relationships. Your head, especially as a male, your head clears out of all the fog of being a fucking retard. And if you're on steroids, even more so. If you're lower that a bit, all the fog kind of clears, and you're like, man, I was a fucking dork before, where I was like doing this shit and not thinking this way, and I was being a fucking loser, right? So I don't look back on those times or those instances of like where people may think, and I made that video before showing that picture of myself when I was competing, and I said, this is like, everyone thought I was like happiest I've ever been, and I wasn't at all. I was fucking miserable relative to like where I am now. So it's like I just encourage people, especially in this sport, I find, and I don't like seeing it, I hear it a lot in different channels and different like things. It's like people almost view like if they don't have a physique that's worthy of them like being on stage or like being like something people talk about, that they're not worth anything anymore. And it's like, I don't have a physique that could step on stage ever again. And I don't want to step on stage again. And I don't want to put the effort in to have the physique that could step on stage again, because I just enjoy my life a lot more when I'm not doing that kind of shit. I don't mind eating well and like doing cardio, taking care of myself, but I never associated my physique or how I look with like determining my happiness. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's fucking weird when I see like, especially I'm talking about individuals like later in their careers have gone on to like have more success post bodybuilding or post sports participation than they ever did participating in sports or bodybuilding. And they're somehow like they're always reaching back to be like, remember those days though? Remember these days though? And like, it's very prevalent in bodybuilding, because you'll see as guys get older and get further away from the stage, they always post pictures of showing when they were on stage. Like, throwback Thursday, or I was like, this is back in this thing, what place do you think I should have come in? Like, just weird shit, right? And I just think it's like, I mean, I get it. It's just like interactive. It's creating interacting on social media and stuff. But in the back of your mind, it's a negative thing, man. Like, you know you were that, and everyone else knows you were great and you look fantastic. You don't need to remind us, man. Like, we guys and girls, we know you looked great. Figure girl, wellness girl, Youth Olympia girl, like, we know you looked great. We all remember, we're fans of the sport. But like, understand that people are growing with you, and they're growing with you as a person, it becomes less and less important to you what you did before. It's not what are you doing now? Like, how are you helping now? How are you benefiting people now? What's your interaction with people like? How are you progressing the sport? How are you helping others get better? That's the shit that matters. Or like, if you have a brand, how is that brand like developing? Like, and Fuad's talked about this before, how he takes a lot of pride, and it's super commendable about when we were talking about sponsoring athletes. He takes a lot of pride in sponsoring people because he wants to help those guys on the journey, which is a fucking, I never really looked at it that way. Like, I just was like, kind of looked at it in a narrow focus. But he looks at it as like, I want to help these guys like get the help I didn't have. So like that stuff is the shit that matters. Like how you leave this sport and how you exit into like another area of your life, and a lot of the times become more successful. Don't look back on these days of your physique and look at your physique now and be like, oh man, like I could get back there. You don't want to. That's why I'm so hilarious to me. Like, people are like say to me, and I never even competed that much. I didn't compete. I competed in 2 pro shows. I didn't have a long career. And they're like, oh, do you ever miss it? I'm like, no, not at all. Like, being on stage was cool, and like, competing the show day was cool, but everything else sucked ass. Like, fucking dieting, being miserable. Like, I know what I want to do that to myself, and I'm not good enough for it to pay off. You know what I mean? Like, I was not good enough for it to pay off. So it's interesting to me. I find that like, I don't like when I see, and I think people watching this, if you're one of these guys who's like chasing, guys or girls, chasing your past self. I'm always holding on. It's like I got a fucking, like a ball and chain attached to me. I'm dragging that motherfucker as I get further and further in life and progress and get like mentally more aware, financially more successful, like my relationships are stronger, I have this development, that development. You're still tagging this along like, I still don't look as good as I used to. Or people don't care about me because I don't do this anymore. It's like, yeah, they do. And the ones that don't, fuck them. Who gives a shit? Like, they don't give a fuck about you in general. So it's like, I think it's a thing in this industry that needs to stop. And like, especially, it's very prevalent with guys. With girls, I think they kind of hold those feelings in a little bit. They don't show it as much. They kind of like internalize it, and it kind of wreaks havoc other ways. But guys are like very blatant. Like, remember I was jacked. We don't forget about how jacked I was. I was super jacked back then. I know I'm not now, but I was at one time. So here's some pictures of me jacked. Don't forget I was jacked. Like, we know, man. That's why we know you now. Like, and we're fine with you not being jacked. Like, it's cool, bro. Like, you're a good dude. Like, it's fine. But I just feel like it's really hindering the development and like the mental side of a lot of guys, because they just take so much pride in like, I'm not saying let yourself go, man. Like, you should take care of yourself because it's just healthy to do so. But like, yeah, you don't look like you looked when you came third at the Arnold or you won the fucking Texas, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, you don't look like that. But would you want to? And like, it's okay. Because it's not like your life was any better then. It was like probably worse. You know what I mean? Just enjoy the journey you're on and like understand like there's a lot of stuff to look forward to, especially as you get older. Like my case, for example, like I just turned 43. I'm probably happier than I've ever been in my life at 43. And very few people would say that. Or like, you know what I mean? They'd be like, a lot of people, they live their life like they never like evolved past high school. They still talk about shit that happened in high school or shit that happened in college, and you're fucking 40 now. Like, let it go. Stop fucking talking about it and move on. Maybe that's why life sucks a little bit right now. You're still like way back there, like, hey, that was cool. Don't forget about me, man. You know what I mean? Anyway.